Hey, Michael.
Hello, Jamie.
Hi, my name's Jamie.
And my name's Michael.
And we're the Two of Wands. We are going through the entire tarot one card at a time. And so just realize that we are now halfway through the deck.
About halfway through the majors, yeah.
Yeah, through the majors, yes. So we are on number 12.
Number 12, the Hanged Man.
Hanged Man. So the numbering was much easier than last week where
Yes.
we did strength.
Right, we don't have to get confused.
I know. There was people that took umbrage.
Well, were there?
Yeah.
So there's going to be, Marseille purists, I'm sure, and Rider-Waite Smith purists, and
all the other purists.
Yeah, my deck, I'm sure will annoy some and please others.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's one of the things we're doing here is that Michael is creating a deck.
I am.
And so that was kind of like the catalyst. Shall we just say the fun story?
Let's
which is
say it again.
The reason why we're doing this is because we'd all get together with our significant others and we would have dinner and we'd spend 2 hours talking about the tarot.
Sometimes more.
And it drove our partners nuts.
It did.
So we decided that we weren't going to talk about the tarot at all until we get together once a week. So we have not talked about the tarot all week.
And now we're behind closed doors. The wives are away.
Exactly.
And the boys will get to play.
I have my coffee. Okay. So, what did you find interesting?
About the Hanged Man. Okay, so check this out.
Oh, okay.
Man and mind both originate from the same Sanskrit word, manas, meaning to think.
Man and mind from the same. Okay, cool.
So this card.
I love the history. So this is going back even further.
Yeah, way back. So you could call this card the Suspended Mind just as easily as you could call it the Hanged Man.
See, I like that. I had never heard that. So far, the fact of the day, we can end the podcast. We can end the live stream.
But
now.
wait, there's more.
Oh.
But start us off with some early histories.
Okay.
What do you got?
So, just that in the 1300s, 1400s, the card would have been considered, the picture itself would be considered the traitor.
Yes.
So, and I'm just going to bring up the Visconti here. And there we go. And good, the camera's working. Okay, look at this. Okay, and so with the Visconti, we have our guy here. And so, where was it? So I've got a quote here. It's a decree from Milan and Lombardy for the punishment of traitors. Let him be dragged on a wooden plank at a horse's tail to the place of execution and there be suspended by 1 foot to the gallows and be left there until he is dead.
Ugh.
As long as he lives, let him be given food and drink.
No, that's nice.
Yeah. So what they would do, though, is that they would actually put pictures, they draw murals of people being hanged like this.
Yeah, Leonardo actually did a couple of these, yeah.
Yeah, well, they would hire some of the best artists to do this.
Yep.
And it was to pretty much denote who the traitors were. So during this time, there was a bunch of separate kingdom states, and you had these mercenaries, and people would hire these mercenaries. I'm going to go with this guy here today because he's paying the best, and then the next week the other guy would be paying more, and so all the mercenaries would go there. And that since they were flipping sides, they were called traitors. So they would they would put these pictures here, and they would hang people like this as traitors. And then also noblemen. It's about the most humiliating way that you can be hung. Your
reputation was everything. So this could ruin not only you but your family and everything. Because your reputation once you are seen hanging upside down, it's not a good thing.
And I'm sitting here looking at here, wondering if my screen's upside down because we're looking at this man doing a jig and he's hanging upside down. So one thing that I noticed on this card that I had never noticed before. Had you noticed the blood?
On the Visconti one? No.
Look at this. So I don't know if it's supposed to be blood or not, but let me pick it up a little bit. But look at these lines.
Oh, wow.
Like if he was like this, there would be trails of blood coming down off his shoulders
Yeah, I see him.
and here.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that's supposed to be blood or not.
Gruesome.
Yeah. Well, he doesn't look happy.
Not in this one.
I mean, his hair is all messed up and
Well, it's hanging up.
he's having a bad day.
Yeah.
So yeah, I thought that was kind of cool when I saw that. So again, I don't know if that's supposed to be blood, but that is pretty cool.
Yeah.
Okay. So the paintings were called shame paintings for hearsay and treason. Did you find anything interesting history-wise?
I've got most of my facts are come later on. Once the meanings change. So keep going with anything else you got.
So another thing. So one of the things people consider, it's like, so is this a traitor? The Hanged Man. Some people also think it's Judas, who betrayed Christ.
The silver for silver, the 30 pieces of silver. Yep.
And
hung upside down.
Saint Irenaeus, Irenaeus, states in his Against Heresies in 200 AD, Judas, then the 12th in order of the disciples. For that Judas the traitor is the 12th in order, is agreed upon by all. And of course, we call the Hangman the 12th card now. So, I mean, that might be a reason why it's considered the 12th card. Because I will personally tell you, I like the idea of how the cards are separated. So you have the personal level and the first of 5, 4 or 5. And then you go to societal level. I'm sorry, when you go 5 to 10, 5 and up, you get the societal level where you're learning how to live in society, all this. Then you go to the Wheel of Fortune. You go to the internal strength.
The next cycle. Yep.
The Hangman
starts us. Yeah.
Well, it's not really a cosmic thing. Again, this is a justice against a person, and that's part of the reason why I think people look at it also and say, yes, this is not about the torture. This is not about the murder.
Right. That's our first clue that this is something more than just an everyday execution.
Exactly. Yep. So it's got to be something deeper than that.
Absolutely.
Because even in the game of triumphs, the one card above it will always outweigh the one below it.
Yep.
So this card here is over top of Strength, over top of the Wheel of Fortune, over top of the Hermit.
Why is that?
I know. So this card was considered, and I know that other people have considered this because, hey, is this possibly one of the virtues?
Right, and people did get this wrong. But Waite actually says this is not about virtue.
Yeah.
This is not about what did he say? He says this is not a card about martyrdom or prudence, but a relationship between the divine and the universe. Says Waite.
Yeah, I saw that. And so again, with Waite, I mean, we'll cover that.
Yeah. That comes later.
But yeah. So,
but there was a lot of mistakes, and like even the early Marseille, the starts with a V, Vavel or something.
Vavel.
Yeah, there. That deck, there was a mistake where they printed it upside down. Because, like you said, they thought he was doing a jig and the rope that he's hanging from, they thought it was a snake, so they're like, It must be Prudence. So, no, it's a hangman.
Yeah, so where's the Vavel? There we go. He's defying gravity here. So let's take a look at some of the older decks then. It's like, because there are variations of the Hanged Man. But I tell you what, if he's doing a jig and he's got his fingers like that, he's in pain. But, so, I did print out the Rothschild sheets.
Yes.
Because this kind of gives us an idea here of...
So, the Rothschild... The Rothschild? Yeah, they're the 8.
Well, I got the Rothschild, the Budapest, and the Rosenwald.
Rosenwald, yep. The Rosenwald were 3 uncut sheets from 1480 to 1500. Rothschild was 8 cards that are still in existence, but they're very early versions of the tarot, 15th century.
And so here we are, And so here we are, and again, the Rothschild, end of the 15th century. One of the reasons that we also know that it's the traitor, because up here at the top, it says Il Traditore, which
one of the reasons.
So they called it the traitor.
Sure.
And here we can see, you can't really tell, but he's holding bags of coins.
Yep.
So, whereas opposed to when we get to the Budapest sheet here, which is about the same time, he's depicted the same way as the Visconti, with the same leg being well, hold on.
No, it's
the opposite. Yeah. So it's like the Charles VI deck. So yeah, it's reversed.
So the leg.
And same thing with this one here also.
Yeah. Can I hold it?
Yes, absolutely.
So the leg position is interestingly one of these things that flip back and forth depending on the deck. I like it pointing to the left personally, the unconscious side, because we trip ourselves up and usually have to learn things the hard way. And this card is all about, killing the ego. So I like to have his leg pointing left.
So historically, I don't know if it was considered one or the other to do.
Yeah, it definitely went back and forth. Let's see here.
But it almost seems natural that it's the right foot.
So pointing left.
But I don't know.
Well, pointing left is the earliest. The Visconti was pointing left, and the Marseille is pointing left. Mm-hmm. The Rider-Waite points right, which I don't really care for. I like it pointing left. So that's one of those things, but
everything has a meaning.
Everything has a meaning.
Everything has a meaning.
But I like the meaning of it pointing to the left for that unconscious connection.
Right. And so some of them have these bags.
Yep.
And people they say that if it's these bags here, they could either be full of coins, like if it was Judas, because he betrayed Jesus for coins,
right,
for silver. And so some people say that, and then other people say that that it could just be bags of rocks or sand, because that just adds to the torture. It just pulls.
Yeah, sure.
Because we don't look at this, when we see these cards, we don't think of the fact that this is actually an excruciating torture.
Right.
I mean, when somebody hanging like that, their leg is just, it's impossible to straighten. And I mean, you're just, and spending days, as long as you're alive, they are good enough to give you food and drink, which means you're going to be like that for a long time.
Right. That's the
which also represents, they talk about, and Rider-Waite especially, but later on, because of Christ being hung, the sacrifice and what you gain from that sacrifice.
Yeah, there's a lot of correspondences to those types of things, and it's and the idea that ordeal is needed to gain insight, and every choice is a sacrifice of another option.
Right.
Another to give you a different version of the story, a less Christian one. There's of course the Norse god Odin.
Oh, absolutely, yep.
And he hung also on a tree.
Yep.
9 days, self-sacrificing on the world tree called Yggdrasil, and in order to gain sacred and secret knowledge.
Right, and he even sacrificed an eye for it.
Yeah, all these things. It was a so it's that, again, that idea of sacrifice by hanging to gain knowledge.
Yep.
So that fits nicely in a non-Christian
absolutely way. And I'm sure because again
these are universal ideas.
Yeah, we're going to take our own concepts and our own culture. I was reading, and I'm reading the Marseille Tarot by David, and I need to always remind myself that different cultures see things differently. It's important to learn how other cultures see
different and yet the same.
Right.
It's just a different spin on it, but this universal messages, I like how they come through, no matter what your flavor of spirituality might be.
Jisk.
Yes. Jisk. Are we vampires now?
Oh man. Okay, so what you got?
Tell me about the tongue sticking out, Jamie.
Well, okay.
Was that
So
an ink
then we are
spot?
going. Is that the noble?
It is. It is.
Okay. Well, let's take a look at this, and I will tell you about that tongue sticking out.
Yeah.
Let's go ahead and move this out of the way here, and let's move this to the side. It's a drop of red paint, isn't it, Michael?
It could be,
Yes.
or maybe he knows something we don't.
So, yeah, I've heard it considered. Let's see if we get that.
Focus.
Yep. So this is a facsimile.
Yeah. And this is a recreation.
And this is a recreation. And who made yours? Is this the Flanoy?
Yes, indeed.
Okay, so the Flanoy. So it's a recreation. It's a cleaned up and it's a beautiful deck.
Yeah.
So this one here, which since it's a facsimile, it does look like a splatter of paint.
Possibly.
Yep. And so it gives you the chance to make that decision.
Right. Because there are no mistakes in the tarot. So that blotch.
Oh, there's no mistakes.
That blotch of paint was
I don't know. There's reverse words. There's all types of things like
everything has a meaning.
Everything has a meaning. So one of the queens is even, or empress, or whoever is reversed.
Yeah.
But yeah, these guys were half illiterate. They could make a wood block but couldn't spell.
Aww. But sometimes they were combining the French and the Italian words into like one word, and like they were doing mystical things as well, even with the lettering. So
well, here's a 1701 since we're talking about that. And this one's a recreation. This one here is the Donnell. And so, but this one does have more of a tongue. Look at that.
Yeah. They owned it.
They owned the tongue.
Which I kind of like, because it's like he's this enlightened state, and he's kind of like sticking his tongue out at the rest of the world. It's like, I know something you don't know.
Well, okay, so... or when somebody dies...
or he's sticking his tongue out, right?
Consider it like this. Okay, so... During the 1500s,
but would it defy gravity?
14th, 1500s, 1600s. Let's consider for a second here.
Yeah.
If this is a torture.
But
so look at this guy's hands. Do you know what it would take for somebody's hands to be that way?
It would hurt.
You would have to rip somebody's arms out of their sockets. So again, and that's why it's let him be dragged.
Yeah.
On a wooden plank at a horse's tail. So literally.
Yeah.
I mean, especially since the different decks have got that.
But look at the...
he's tortured.
Yeah, it could be. But look at the tongue. Why?
Oh, that is torture, my friend.
Why would his tongue be going that way, though? If he truly was dead and his tongue was sticking out.
Again, it's like... Because he's actually doing a jig.
Well, I'm not gonna go that
not
far.
There yet. No, I don't know.
Yeah.
All we can do is speculate.
We're speculating, of course.
But I'm going to think that he's not quite doing the nanny boo boo.
Okay.
Which is I'm hanging here with my arm.
Well, he's got the fingers for it.
Exactly. It's just his arms are behind him, so he can't quite get the hands up here, but he's doing the best he can.
Right.
With his arms ripped out of their sockets.
Sure. Well, extenuating circumstances.
Yeah, so literally the arms ripped out of the socket and then tied at the elbows.
Ouchie.
Yeah, and so, but it's not going to kill him.
Right.
And they are going to give him food and water.
Well, that's nice.
Yes. So maybe that's him slurping up water.
Maybe.
So, okay.
All right.
So we've got that one.
Yep.
And this is the 1659. Again, this is one of the oldest wood blocks we have. This is a 1701 and I just got this deck and it's beautiful. Cartomancer was the company that made them, and it's a facsimile recreation. Love this deck. So we got that one. So what do you got next?
Okay, so are we ready to talk about the higher aspects of the card now? Or you got any more history for me?
Well, I think that other than the fact that as we go forward in time, we can see. So we've got the Noble, we've got the Donnell,
Yep.
we've got the Swiss JJ1, where the guy's got his head, he's even more uncomfortable here, and this is 1831.
Yeah.
And it's just meant to, like,
Not a pleasant
he's hanging
card.
there
Yep.
for all the bugs and everything else. No tongue, though.
No tongue on that one.
And then we've got the Giovanni Vaccacetta, which I just totally mispronounced.
That's up in the 1800s, yeah.
And here this is an Italian deck.
Yeah.
Turin, Italy, 1893. And this is more like a traditional kind of, both feet are tied.
These are bound. Yep.
Yep.
So that one.
And then we go with the 1889, 1880s, where this time, and this is an anonymous deck from
Ancient Italian.
yeah, from another deck, and 1880. It's anonymous. They don't know who did it, but his leg is not crossed at all.
No, he's hanging loose.
Yes, and then we go to the. Oh, I'm sorry. We skipped the conver. This is the one that most of the occultists would have been using. A lot of them would have been using as the conver deck.
Right.
1760.
Okay, now since we've gotten this far ahead,
Yep.
we can start to talk about the positioning and what that would mean to the esoteric
Yes.
society that would be using this
Yes.
card. So for the conver deck, as much as like the earlier Marseilles, he's got his legs crossed, and the bottom of his body forms a triangle, and then we've got the cross there. And that is the alchemic sigil for sulfur. And when you have that reversed, that signifies the completion of the great work, transmutation, perfection of the soul. So that now we're getting into the ideas that maybe it's not torture.
Or and of
Maybe
course,
there's-
people are going to start seeing. I mean, there is a lot of symbolism, and I'm coming over here to
You're doing a loop.
this deck over here just so I can. So it just shows something else as we're talking about it.
Yeah.
But yes, so now as we're talking about that,
There's
there are. I mean, you can see symbols all through the tarot, and he's exactly right about that.
Yep. So we're starting to see why is this card so high up if it's just a torture card? What could it possibly mean? And so now we're starting to think, well, maybe, just maybe, he's in an enlightened state. You know how with certain types of magic, the 8 ways of working, one of them is flogging, one of them is using the cords to bind and cut off circulation. So a lot of these ways to gain the sight is by putting yourself through an ordeal. And that might possibly be what's happening here is yes, he is in a predicament, but because he is gaining this secret knowledge. He is gaining this enlightenment, this perfection, the perfection of the soul by looking at things in a different way, upside down. You know?
Or maybe he is a disgraced nobleman. Oh, no, I mean, if there are no coincidences, I'm just saying that. So here we have the
emperor.
The emperor.
And his crossed feet were more like forming an ankh. Many times you'll see him holding an orb in his left hand.
Sure, but I mean, it's almost at the exact same angle. I mean, I agree with what you're saying. I'm just saying I'm throwing that out also.
Yeah. Well, it could be the same character at a higher level.
Right. But yes, so by this point now we're getting into the 1800s. We've got the Gebelin in the 18th century.
Sure.
And people like that who are starting to see
things.
So, and de Gebelin, the wonderful person that he is, then is the one that thought he saw it reversed.
Yeah, well.
Yeah, so,
we all make mistakes.
He did. He saw it reversed and doing the jig, and that is how he associated this
with prudence. Yes, the snake instead of the rope.
And so there are people that followed that, but then Levi came along and he's like, okay, de Gebelin, I mean, yeah, he's full of it.
Yeah.
this guy is not just dancing a jig. It almost looks like he is, though. Look at that.
If you're benevolent, it does.
And if we look at this card here, when we go back to the Donnell, where'd my Donnell go? Donnell. Here we go. Where are you? Did you take my Donnell?
No.
Oh, here he is. So, what do you notice about the Donnell? That's odd. Look at the numbers.
Oh, yeah, the numbers are reversed. So
the numbers are reversed. Yeah. So, if we were to make them right,
he's up right
then
side.
We have de Geblin saying, "Oh, this is how it's supposed to be."
That's probably where he started getting his ideas.
Why possibly nobody knows, but the other thing is that some people speculate that it's just the wood block cutter who's like, oh, let's be funny here. It's like, since the guy's upside down, we'll make that upside down. Or again, they might have just been illiterate, or they might have just not noticed as they were tapping away. But it's kind of a coincidence.
Yeah. So
I would I would imagine it was intentional.
Who knows?
So
there are no mistakes.
Yes. So, but yes. So you were saying the alchemical, which, as people like de Geblin and Levi come along, yes, they're starting to interpret this.
Yeah.
More with the esoteric
and the alchemical glyphs, which sulfur being one of those primary things that creation of all things, but the inverted sulfur sign, meaning that the great work has been completed. So
right.
That fits nicely in these higher ideas of this card. Oh, and can we go to weight now?
Let's see. Card is inter. Yeah, we can.
All right. So
I'm going to grab my copy of it.
So you've noticed that in the weight, the Rider Waite.
If I was better prepared, I'd already have it out.
The weight card is the gallows is actually a living tree. You see the green leaves on it.
Hold on, let me grab it. Or put it right here.
And it is in the shape of a T. Now the T is the last letter of the Hebrew alphabet. It's Tav, which means
T-A-U.
Yep.
And it's a Greek letter.
It's also a Greek letter. Yep. But it means the mark of God. So again, this divine connection, and he's got the halo and a very peaceful, tranquil expression. So it again adds weight to the idea of be still and know.
Yeah, it's one of those things where weight again comes along and says, Jesus was hung on a towel on a cross, like he says like this.
I don't know. The magician, I see that.
If you look at if you look up towel,
yes.
You'll see that that some people call that cross that Jesus was hung on a towel.
Sure.
And so that's where weight goes into and actually says it's like the towel. And also, because again, he was following that and not so much. He wasn't into the Kabbalah, right? No, he was all Christian. I can't remember now.
I think it was a mix. I mean, those secret societies, they appreciated like with Masons. It's like as long as you believe in the God, we're good. The Christians can get along with the Jews.
Yeah. And I'm sure. I can't. Okay, I can. Oh man, I need to go back and I need to reread the history of the occult tarot, because I think, if I remember correctly, and somebody can correct me on this, but weight ended up. Oh, here we go. Justin Michael, I will have to come back and watch later. I'm at work. You guys are super knowledgeable. I think of Christ with the HM for sure. Yeah. So anyway, I think that if I remember correctly, and I'm gonna go back and reread this stuff.
Sure.
But he left the Kabbalah and stuff like that to focus on the Christian, because he was totally into the Christian side of it.
Yeah, I mean, Waite definitely was leaning towards the Christian side of things. But again, no matter what your persuasion, the idea is that, look at this guy. He's no longer in a state of torture. This is in an enlightened state. It's
He's got that glow. The hair now is a glow. You know, I mean,
he's connecting to that to that higher thing. Now, and this, remember, it's the 12 is a connection to the 2, and the High Priestess is the second card, right? So it's like a peek behind the veil, just like the High Priestess has,
right?
Connecting it. So I'm going to show you the unseen world. I'm going to show you this connection to your spirituality, you know, through this ordeal that you're in. But I'm going to, you know, let you look behind the veil.
Right. And Michael's talking about it. So there's different numerology. There's different ways of looking at it. Some people would see the hangman and they'd say, so 10 plus 2, you would say 10, 11, 12, and then 1 plus 2 equals 3. And that's one way. But I'm agreeing with Michael where I think that it's a cycle of 10.
Yep.
You know, it even has a cycle of 10 in the minors. So we went through, we got to the Wheel of Fortune, and then we're starting over with that next cycle of 10. So that's why he's saying equating it.
So we're at 2 of the next cycle,
right,
with this card, which links it back to the High Priestess in a lot of ways.
Right.
So it's with her, she's got an actual veil behind her, blocking off the secrets. With him, he's flipped his viewpoint so that he can see behind the veil on a higher level is the connection that I'm trying to imply.
Right, and being martyred, he's reached that, you know, I mean, if he's martyred, he's reached that level. You know, the saints are martyred.
Right.
Have you seen the movie Martyrs? No, you haven't, because there's a movie I would never recommend, but it's a great movie, and it's called Martyrs. Man, it's one of the most brutal movies. But the ending the ending pays off. So let's see. So Justin Michael says it's about suffering, facing death with bravery. Yep. Like in the New Testament when Jesus said, "Hold me up like the bronze snake in the desert," or whatever. In other words, his suffering was meant to be, yes. And yeah, I noticed the Christ-like likeness, and it didn't fit or make sense. So yeah, I absolutely can agree with that.
Yeah, I mean, he's got the halo, he's on the tree, it's Christ-like in those ways, but I see the magician more as the Christ figure in the tarot. He's got the red and white robes and that kind of thing, at least in the Rider-Waite.
Right.
The hangman is almost like you know, maybe with the power of Christ, if you want to take it with that bent on it, but it's a personal link to spirituality, you know, that I think of this card.
Right. And so because of the, you know, as we move forward and everything and people looking at it, and that is where, you know, we don't see this as a torture device.
Right.
You know, I guess we don't even see the crosses that people wear around their necks anymore as a torture device.
It becomes a symbol of faith.
It becomes a symbol of faith and a symbol of strength. And Waite says, for his at least, that it's one of the most important cards in the deck.
Mm-hmm. Speaking of seeing things, you know, differently, like, you know, the cross no longer being a torture device but becoming a symbol of faith. If there was something that was always constant in your life, would you even be able to identify it? You know, if something was always there, it kind of disappears, right? So the whole idea of seeing things differently, this is like the rug being pulled out from under you. And
in what way? What do you mean?
So he's upside down.
Yep.
It's like he's flipped. Everything is flipped. It's like, here's reality.
Boink.
And we're taken off the rug. So, you know, was reality that stable to begin with? If I could so easily just flip it. So this is all about seeing things in a different view.
And so like this morning when I did the morning reflection with the tarot, you know, this card comes up and it fit perfect. A lot of people say when the tarot comes, not only is it about, you know, sacrifice and acceptance, because again, it's almost a Christian concept when you look at this as sacrifice.
Sure.
As acceptance of yourself. But also, I do like the idea. People say it's like, well, it's also a perspective. It's like, when you're looking at something like this, it may look totally bad, disastrous, or anything like that. But in a reading, it could say, hey, let's just change our perspective and look at it differently.
Right.
Which is perfect, is how it fit perfect. Somebody's wanting to say something, but they can't, so I'm just going to click and say they can.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, if you're totally dependent on the divine, then you've allowed it to consume or to take over, let Jesus take the wheel, as they say.
Right.
Then that's kind of about the hangman, is the idea and they say that the greater the adept, the more massive their surrender. It becomes this big revelation when you allow that to take over. But moving forward.
Well, yeah, and it's funny. I just want to say, because it's funny when discussing the hangman, because I am not a religious person,
right,
in the least bit.
I have a very different spirituality than my Catholic upbringing, so I've distanced myself from a lot of these views, but I can definitely see them and how they carry over and connect with the same theme, that it doesn't matter, what your faith is, you still can connect in your own way.
Right. And mine is even more bizarre than yours. But I've had conversations about how I believe, but we're not going to go into that here.
All right. So can I go to Crowley? So
hold on. Isn't this the weightlifter card? I think the Crowley is. I call it the weightlifter card. Go ahead.
All right. So the Thoth deck. Yes.
Okay. I'm sorry.
The Thoth deck.
That was a joke.
Yeah. The Thoth deck.
Do you like the Thoth deck, Michael?
I do.
Yep. It's a cool deck.
So there is no gallows, because Crowley rejects the idea of sacrifice and suffering. He is no sin, no guilt. This is Crowley, right?
Do what thou wilt,
yeah,
blah, blah, blah.
Exactly. And so life is an illusion. There's no need to concern yourself with morality, because life is just a dream. So it's, but even Crowley, he's saying there's a connection to the divine to learn what one's will is, and it's to do to do as you will is not just do anything you want.
Right.
It's actually to know your purpose, your true, divine purpose from the divine. So that's what this is. You look at the Ankh, it's anchored in spirit. It pulls him out of the darkness to the light, and his eyes are closed. It's an inward journey.
But he is nailed.
He is nailed, but it's not.
It's in a good way.
Yeah, exactly. Well, again, it's connecting to.
Yeah. This is more of a metaphysical.
Yeah, and the Kabbalah connection was, this card relates to the letter in the alphabet that means nail. So he had to have a nail in there somewhere. But it's definitely more of an abstract idea. This is not actually torture or sacrifice or anything like that. This is more of a letting go of physical attachments and a connecting to the divine through Crowley's own viewpoint, and not a Christian one, but a Crowley.
And he definitely had his own viewpoint.
He did. He certainly did. But even more favorite than the Thoth deck for this card.
Okay.
Is Oswald Wirth.
Oh, here we go.
All right, so
I knew that was gonna. We have both fallen in love with the Oswald Wirth. It's so funny.
So this is definitely by far my favorite representation of the Hangman. Is Wirth's.
That is so funny. It's like, what even got us to buy? I bought this deck, and
you saw mine.
Yeah,
and you bought it.
And I started doing some readings. I started doing readings with it, and it has become one of my favorite decks.
Yeah, I'm so glad to hear that. And Wirth is definitely an esoteric mind. He was
absolutely
influenced by Levi, but he's of the French tradition, so he's not English school, he's French. And but he loads this card up with lots of wonderful things. So if you indulge me,
go for it.
This is from the 1985 English translation, but was first published in 1927 by
Justin. Okay, go ahead.
by Worth himself. Mm-hmm. And let's see here. So, okay, there's some.
I'm going to buy you a highlighter.
Yeah, I know. I needed to highlight this before. I apologize for not. So I do remember some of these things. So I'll just say them. So if you look at the trunks, they change from blue to green, and that is symbolic among many things, but it also is the ranks and masons. So you start off at
so this is the one time where you could really see better on the screen. See how up there, because if you look at it, it's kind of hard to tell.
Yep. But you can totally see it online. Yeah. So blue to green, and that's as you go up the ranks. Now look at the cross beam that he's being hung from is gold. It's yellow. Again, connect that divine connection. The
purest metal.
Yeah, well, it depicts the sun. The emotional aspirations would tend to shield the man from crude materialism. The blue bark turning gradually green indicates the start of a serene contemplation, faithful devotion to religious practices, and then progressive vitalization, aiming to freeing the moral and truly living side of religion. The warm sap, which has made the two trees grow, gives purple color to the scars left by the branches that have been cut off. And then the red and white waning moons on his pockets relates to the humility felt by the mystic whose self-denial is active, and the white waxing moon on the right relates to the intuitive faculties whose task is to gather the impressions of the imagination, again, tacking back to that high priestess, that imagination, without changing them, and then interpret them correctly. And then even the buttons on the tunic, 2 red and 4 white. It's not just an instant.
Hold on. Say that again. The buttons.
So the buttons. This isn't even an insignificant detail.
Well, hold on.
There's 2 red. There's 2 red and 4 white.
No. There's 4 red and 2 white.
2 are red and 4 are white.
Look at your card.
Oh, interesting. So either this is a bad translation, or the cards were not colored as Oswald Worth intended.
Well, did you get that from the internet?
I
would trust the internet.
Well, okay. Well, anyway, let's see what it says. It refers to, let's see. The 2 refers to the priestess, thus the active faith in the mystic, whereas the 4 indicates the emperor, the master of willpower, which must be pure and disinterested and feminine, or in initiation. Since the initiated gives up the willpower through himself and above all for himself, he only wants what he is willed by the mysterious power which he serves. So I guess, so I would say the red king and the white white queen, it would make more sense to have the 4 buttons be red.
I can tell you what it is, because I know that there's a picture of the original Oswald Worth in this particular book. And lo and frickin' behold.
Look at that.
Okay, look at this. Always trust the internet. The internet always knows.
Not always, but sometimes.
Okay, so
this isn't from the internet. This is actually from Oswald Worth's own translation.
So that is cool.
But
so
look, the card.
I'm gonna have to get an actual recreation then, because look at that.
The card. The buttons were.
And I couldn't figure out how, if the 2 buttons for the priestess were supposed to, because it's. Which one's the priestess? Is it two buttons?
The 2 was the priestess, yeah.
Okay.
Is what he was saying.
Which is the lower nature. I would not have thought that.
2 refers to the priestess, thus the active faith in the mystic, whereas 4 indicates the emperor, the master of willpower.
Okay.
So, but yeah, they got the color wrong.
But that is okay.
But
that is cool.
in our decks, they got the color wrong. But the original in this book, this wonderful book,
So I am going to buy and that is why I totally dig the recreations.
Yeah. They just are the most faithful.
I mean, the facsimile, you get a facsimile and it's going to have all the dirt, it's going to have all the smears and everything else, but it's going to be accurate right down to, look at this. Well, and that's interesting because what's the converse got? Because that's what Worth probably would have been going by. That is cool stuff. Here we go. So Conver has it reversed also.
The what? What are you talking about?
The darker buttons are at the top. And the lighter buttons, and I've just never taken this into consideration before.
Yeah.
Because, for example, the Noble, it doesn't even care. It's all the buttons are the same.
Right.
Are the same.
It's just decorative at that point.
But that is, see, now I'm gonna go down a rabbit hole on stupid ass buttons. Great, thanks a lot, dude.
You're welcome. Nothing is trivial.
So anyway, I'm gonna use this as the example.
Yeah. So that's in. So it looks like this, except for the buttons are changed. But yeah, the Oswald Worth. It's such a cool interpretation of the Hanged Man. It's you're connecting to that unconscious energy, and it's the joining of, and look, he's got the gold and the silver that's creating that halo around his head. It's there's nothing I don't love about this card, and his head goes into the abyss. You know, the unknown. What is that? You don't know. It's this pit, which I am putting water in there. You know, because it's the sea of unconscious.
Are you gonna have the guy's head underwater?
Not underwater, but I'm like a being, hung like, and instead of the abyss, I'm gonna have like some water down there, and then and then to make it extra surreal and fun, in the tree up above, I'm going to have the leaves look like water, so that when you flip it upside down, so say you get the Hangman reversed,
right?
You'll see water that way too. There's water up and water down. It's going to be a very surreal card, which is so appropriate for the Hangman, because it's all about seeing things in a different
right.
But yeah, so when you get the all about this.
Sorry about that, but there's comments and they weren't showing up on here.
We got some feedback.
So Tamara, I'm sorry about this. So yeah, it didn't show up on my screen here, but I thought I had heard some dinky dinks. So Tamara, thank you for talking about the different leg positions. I didn't know about the meanings of the left direction from the right.
Yeah, I see it as pointing to this.
Anna's saying, yeah, he's happy. It's mind over matter.
Yes. Okay, so now I've got a good point on this.
I have to. I'm now going to. My drill sergeant, because yes, I was in the military at one point.
Yes, indeed.
As liberal as I am, I love the fact that I'm ultra liberal and have been in the military. So anyway, but
they tried to break
it's
you
mind
down.
over matter. If you don't mind, then it don't matter. Okay.
But here's another thing that you make me you made me think of this. So if you look, his head is lower than his heart. So his pure heart is above the lower entrapments of the overthinking head.
Yes.
The overthinking mind, which fits so perfectly.
Yes.
It's that sometimes you got to shut off your mind and let your emotions just kind of take you to these creative places that the high priestess can get you to, and reach that higher message, that higher connection. Sometimes you got to switch the mind off,
right.
and that's having the heart above the head is just it lends gravitas to that idea.
Okay. No, absolutely. So here's a question for you with your deck. So do you consider, there's a couple ways to actually look at this. Do you think his hands are tied, or do you think he's got them, that he's holding him? When you think of your deck,
Right.
what are you visualizing? What are you imagining for your deck?
So it's unseen. He's got his hands behind his back, making that making that sulfur glyph.
Yes.
In a triangle. Absolutely. But are they tied? I don't think so. I think he's just holding them. I think if I was going to tell you what you would see if you looked behind his back, I'm past the point of torturing him. I think it's a freely chosen position. It's almost like he's a trapeze artist.
Yep. So I also consider, because by the time we're with the point now with the Rider-Waite, it almost looks like he's loosely tied, like he actually did this himself.
Exactly.
Like he has chosen to do like Odin, that this is a self-sacrifice.
Exactly. And I do I see it as a sacrifice. I mean, I'm not of the Crowley mindset that this has nothing to do with sacrifice. I do see it as a sacrifice, a needed sacrifice in order to gain enlightenment. But I think it's a self-chosen one. Right. With the Hangman.
Okay, so what else have you got? We are almost at the end here, because we try and keep it at an hour.
Yes.
Although we could keep going.
We could go on and on and on.
So, I think I got the hands behind the... one thing that is true is, as I was reading through this, I'd heard this a while ago also, but one man's traitor is another man's hero.
That's true.
So when somebody was hung as a traitor, whether, or because this is what they did with the Christians or whatever.
That's just a certain point of view.
It's a new point of view. It's a new perspective.
Yeah.
And that perspective is that for every traitor out there,
there's a hero.
There's somebody who thinks he's a hero.
Indeed.
So that's another way to look at that perspective also. And
connecting this he's called the Lord of the Mighty Waters because this card is associated with the Hebrew letter Mem, M-E-M, meaning the ocean or the sea. And again, it's that sea of unconsciousness from the High Priestess. But the water being rebirth, baptism, that kind of thing. Right. It's washing away the old ideas, opening up you to your true purpose. One's fire. So it's that combination of opposites. Again, the High Priestess, combination of opposites, water and fire. So it's that passive receptive energy that allows you to learn your true fire, your true purpose, your true will, by connecting to the divine, getting that spiritual message. And it's fire and water combined. Right. I love it.
And as Tamara says, could be holding the vine that is holding him up. I can sort of see it on his side. Oh yeah, there's a vine here.
Yeah.
And Tamara, thank you, because I guess I've just never looked that close, but I've never noticed that there is a... Have you noticed that vine?
I didn't, yeah. On the side here, there's an extra vine, so maybe he's not being just hung by one leg. Maybe he's got extra support.
Oh my God. Okay, Tamara, dude, this is freaking awesome.
That's good.
I can tell you what he's doing. I see exactly what he's doing. He is holding the vine that is holding his foot. He is holding the God-blessed vine that is holding his foot.
I like that.
Oh, the fact of the... I want to say podcast.
Yeah, I like that.
But no, that is a... Could be. I think... Oh, my God.
Could be. Oh, and before we that is pretty cool.
I'm just gonna shut off everything right now. I'm done.
But we got to do our reading.
Oh yeah.
And I got one more card for you.
Okay.
Okay. So this is the African American Tarot. The 12th card is the Observer. It's a Nigerian god of fate and destiny called Ifa. And,
wow.
And he's blindfolded and surrounded by eyes. How trippy is that? Talk about connecting to your, higher subconscious messages of the divine. that is a fun interpretation of the Hangman.
And the artwork is amazing.
It's
Is that watercolor, you think? Or?
I have no idea.
I don't think that's computer. I think that is like just. I mean, it could be obviously.
Who knows?
But that's beautiful.
Yeah, and that's from the African American tarot. So yeah, there's all sorts of different interpretations of this card. But
Right. Okay. So let's see how this card looks in a
Okay.
reading.
All right.
What deck should we use here?
I'm gonna use old trusty Rider-Waite this time, but you do you.
Yeah. Now, is that my card or is that
No, that
yours?
one's mine.
Okay. Where's my Rider-Waite?
I don't know.
Are you sure?
Pretty sure.
I don't know. I think that's mine.
Is it?
Mine.
I pulled mine out.
Okay, so we'll do a Rider-Waite. Let's also do then a Marseille. I got it. Okay.
Okay.
So I'm gonna go with the Conver
All
because
right.
that was the old popular one.
Yeah.
Okay. So it's always fun. It's like we can talk about the cards all we want,
All
but
day.
unless you actually see them in a reading, if you know,
I like to see 'em in
that's when you
action.
really understand the cards.
Yeah.
Oh man. I need to show you how to do this.
Yeah, I'm not a very good
See,
shuffler.
it's one of these things.
I know.
I need to show.
Well, yeah, you've shown me.
I know.
Just not as
That is the way. That way rocks.
yes.
Yeah.
I do what I can.
I do what I can when I can.
I like to have my querent do the shuffling infuse their energy into the cards that way. But it's actually just an excuse because I'm a terrible shuffler.
Oh my god.
But it's a little bit of both.
I can say learning to shuffle like this has made my life complete because
Now it's the waves.
man, those
now it's
huge
the sound of the
decks.
waves.
It is every morning. That's it. I hear this and it's like. Ah. It reminds me to breathe.
Yes,
it
it
really does. Okay, so
All right, you want to go first?
okay. Oh, did I frickin' lose my?
You lost your hangman in
I
there.
lost my hangman in the process because I'm sitting here all getting ready to meditate.
Oh.
I do a morning meditation. It's like, you know, I do it every morning, 7:30 on the MyTarot.
Yeah, you can find us. That's a good pause for station identification. MyTarot, MyTarot on Facebook. You can find us if you search for that. MyTarot.org. You'll find Jamie. OffbeatArtwork.com. You'll find me, and Offbeat Artwork on Twitch. You'll find me. I give readings occasionally, and yeah, that's our call signs.
So, and MyTarot.org, it also has a link to the MyTarot page here on Facebook. If you are, I know we've got some people here that are on, we have Twitch people and we have
Google people and
yeah, we multi-stream to like everything, but we hang out on Facebook.
Okay, yeah.
So
find us there. Keep the chats going.
let's see. I hadn't even thought about this. If I was going to do a reading with the Hangman, okay. So
What does he need to see?
what does he need to see? Okay, so if somebody was okay, so this is a card about sacrifice and acceptance. So where are we coming from then? What is it that we need to, that presented this situation? What is it that we're hanging by? Okay, and this is what is supporting
Supporting the rope.
and what we're hanging by. And this is the destination that we are moving towards.
Okay.
Okay, so if we're looking at a pass, okay, with the Five of Swords. So Five of Swords on the Rider-Waite shows a guy I call it the ego card with the Rider-Waite. He's stealing this, he's taking the swords from the other people, and you got the heads down of the other people.
But what do you see in this one?
With this one here, so since we're looking at sacrifice,
The Marseille.
the Marseille. So you have the stability of the 4, and then all of a sudden somebody throws in that 5th sword.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's flip over here and see what we're hanging by to see what the definition is, because then we're going to the 6. So we're hanging by the fact that we're looking for stability.
Nice balance, yeah.
And then where we're going to is, okay, the Queen of Swords. So here we have this battle. Our ego, Okay, we've come in and there was a stable thing going on here. And so what I always like to say is that, would you rather be happy or would you rather be right? You know, because when you get involved with other people and things like that, you have this thing, and it's like, you know, I'm a pretty intelligent guy, and I can sit there and skewer somebody verbally and say, this is why.
Yep.
And so maybe this is saying that I need to take a look, you know, if the person was across from me, the querent, you know, what is it that we feel like our rightism? You know, we have this rightism. And then the thing is that we want to find the stability of the sixes. Sixes, you know, build off the growth of the threes. You've got both of the threes there. Sixes are about harmony and improvement and balance. So maybe what this is saying is that look more towards the perspective of the other person. Be willing to work, find a harmony, be willing to sacrifice to find a harmony. And that way, the balance is actually going to be working towards the Queen of Swords. So the Queen of Swords can be right. She is like the opposite of this. This is the ego card that says, I am right.
Whether you're right or wrong, yeah.
Well, worse yet,
sometimes
the worst thing is if he really is right, because now he's just skewered everybody else.
Right.
Whereas the Queen, we need to find that balance. And we need to find a way to say compassionately.
Right.
We need to find a way to show take other people's emotions into consideration. We can be right. But do we need to skewer somebody?
Right.
And take away, whatever it is.
We can be soft about it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
She can be right. She can be strong.
Yeah.
But she doesn't have to show that with an ego.
Exactly.
So that's what I'm taking. So that's how I would see this. This is about sacrifice. This is about letting go of the ego.
Which is all about
allowing yourself to be right.
Yeah.
But choosing to find a healthy balance to do that. And especially if this card, it could be work or home.
Cool.
So that's how I would see that.
Yeah, I like it. I like it much.
Okay. So that's how I would use Hangman, and that's how I would see it reflected.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, do you want to show those cards real quick to my feed?
Yeah. Here. So we can. So we've got two feeds going here.
So I'm just gonna.
So I tell you what. Let's see if we can do this. So
it was. Like
here we go. It was like this.
Something like that.
It's like.
Or maybe these two are reversed. But anyway, you get the idea. These are the cards in play. All right. Well, I'm going to do the same spread because I like that.
Okay.
What you did there. So we're going to follow through the same path.
Okay.
Let's see what the Rider Waite has to say.
Ooh.
Okay. Shuffle. Oops. Put that on the bottom. All right. So we'll do. Okay.
Alrighty.
So, identifying the cards. This is what he's hanging from.
Yep.
The spiritual message that he needs to know.
Yep.
This is what he needs to move towards.
Yep.
What he needs to move away from.
Yep.
Okay.
Very good.
Let's do it. So, moving away from strength reversed. Mm-hmm. Which so strength, you've got. Usually, it's when this is right side up. It's about you're having that good bond with loving and trust is the highest form of strength. But reversed means you might get your hand bit off. You're going against that connection.
Right.
So that would be a good thing to move away from. You don't want to get bit. You want to get this card right side up.
Okay.
And maybe he's looking at it.
Yeah.
He wants to see it the right side up because he's hanging there.
Yeah. And I also say but the lack of an internal strength means we're petty.
Right.
It means that again, there's that rightism again, because it's like if it's strength reversed, we're not going to be able to win over using our, because we're confident. We're going to win because we're going to be petty about it. Is kind of if I was looking at it. So
yeah.
I don't know if that.
No, absolutely, absolutely. That totally rings true. I'm going to skip to see what's hanging here.
Ooh.
And I like how they're all being reversed
because
he's reversed.
Exactly.
So we've got the moon, and again, that fits so well with those with the moon being that feminine, that unconscious sea. Here's the sea of subconscious where the crustacean is coming out of, and it's tapping into that energy, which is that's what he's hanging from. That's the whole lesson of the hanged man. So that fits very nicely.
I'm curious to see what this comes.
I am too.
Because I'm a poet, I'm a songwriter, I'm actually the musical director for the Shakespeare company, but it's like I see a story developing here.
What's the ending?
Let's turn it over.
Let's see what the happy ending is. What a happy ending that is. So it's again reversed, the whole thing being reversed because he's dictating that, I think. But it's the Ace of Cups, which is again that water energy and that connecting to. So you got to shut the mind off. You got to shut off that overthinking mind and choose. Every choice is a sacrifice, and you're choosing to tap into that feminine energy that. And when I say feminine, it's not masculine or feminine. It's that's just a shorthand way of saying the subconscious, that connection that flows through and gives you that true meaning of strength, is that passive, loving, trusting surrender to the higher powers.
Can I tell a story?
Yeah, tell the story, Jamie.
Because I would love it if a parent was across from me. Because why would we ever hang ourselves from this tree? Because there's something that we need to purge.
Wash it away.
There is something that we need to be willing. Yes, there's something that we need to wash away.
Yep.
And so we have recognized our pettiness, our lack of strength.
Yep.
And here we're hanging on all of our fears. So we're hanging from a tree of fears. These fears are keeping us bound to this tree.
You gotta let them go.
We've got to let it go because all that we have to look forward to is a spilled cup of, this cup is all empty. This cup will stay empty.
Right.
Until we can walk through these fears that we're hanging from.
But look at which direction the water is flowing.
I understand.
It's emptying out of the cup, but which way does it go? It goes back to the source, the connection of the divine, and it's flowing back to that sea. That it's that lesson is
sure. But until this card gets reversed and we've accepted our fears. Yeah. Until we bring this, because he's hanging from his fears. His fears is keeping him tied to that tree.
Yeah, and if you don't fear the lion, but you befriend the lion, then you'll master that strength too. And again, you'll connect to that infinite power, the higher source. And I need to show my cards here. So
I love the hangman hanging from the reversed moon card.
Yeah.
That to me it just totally made sense to be. We're hanging on this tree because of our fears.
Our fears. Yep. And he just
we need to walk.
Let him go. Wash him away.
And so he becomes enlightened, like
the moon.
See that?
Yep.
See the moon right there?
Yep.
That is him. Looking down at his fears as he's it's a higher level as he's realizing.
Yeah.
Oh, that is amazing.
It's powerful what they do, isn't it?
Oh my gosh, I love that. Okay, so I think we are
enough magic for today. Next week.
This was fantastic.
It was.
Next week is going to be fun also.
Dun dun dun.
Dun dun dun. Let's transition.
Yes.
Let's make a transition to the next card.
Right.
So we're going to go to the next level.
The unnamed card.
The unnamed card. We're going to be doing death. The death card. I've seen enough movies. Not the death card.
It's not what you might think.
It's not what you might think.
We'll see you next week.
Yep. And so I'm Jamie.
I'm Michael.
And so this is the Two of Wands, and thank you all very much. This was really a lot of fun. Michael, thank you.
As always. Take care, everyone.
Bye, guys.